Oh, hold on. Yeah, got it.
Evening, y'all. How's it
Sorry.
going? Welcome to another Lockdown Live chat. We're drawing towards the end of another crazy year. 2021 is almost in the books. As usual, to help me dissect this, my notorious co-host, the purveyor of all things Dracona Media, Mr. Alec Lawson. How's it going, man?
Well, it's going really well. Yeah, I mean, it's the end of the year, so I think it's a good time to do a bit of a retrospective. And who better to help us do that than someone that gets to hear a lot of South African metal? So, and yeah, I'll let Lyle do that introduction.
Well, yeah, a man that really doesn't need much of an intro. You guys have heard him on the airwaves as he's been saving our asses and keeping our mental sanity during this global pandemic, bringing a lot of fresh music to the table. Yeah, today we're joined with none other than Mr. France the Planet. How's it going, Rob?
Hey, dudes, what's happening? Thank you so much for having me. It's a great honor and pleasure for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy we could finally make this happen, especially now as you start to draw your podcasts and shows all the way to the end of the year, drawing that towards a close. Yeah, happy we can actually have you on and look back at a very interesting year in SA Metals. So, yeah.
Interesting to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. Well, I guess, let's actually, for any of the viewers that by some chance don't know who you are, maybe you want to give us just a little brief elevator clip, if you will, of the work that you've been doing with Berg Studio, online radio and all of that. So, yeah, give us a rundown.
Well, the short of the long is basically I started doing radio hosting about 3 years back, and with my first station, I moved on. It was time for greener pastures, and then myself and some of the other guys that broke away from that station started Berg Studio in April of 2020. So April will be 2 years on Berg Studio. And yeah, man, we are an alternative online stream. We still call it radio, like in the traditional sense. But yeah, we play traditional, not traditional, alternative music. Anything from Frank Zappa to Bleeding Spawn, which is South African out of Middelburg, and Slayer, obviously. So I am the guy on the station that pushes hard for the local South African music, obviously in the alternative scene, I would call it. And then I'm also on Scotland Rocks Radio every Friday night. And yeah, where I do the weekly wind down, which is a mix of South African and international bands, all underground, occasionally with requests, because I do still do requests as all-time radio, if you want to call it that. Then there will be a mainstream band that potentially comes up. And yeah, man, I try and promote South African music, especially the metal, wherever I can internationally. I used to be with Inner Demon Radio also in the States. That was in Philadelphia, I think. I'm under correction. Indianapolis, I do apologize. Indianapolis. And yeah, I got a lot of exposure there for the guys. And whenever people ask me for, hey, dude, what kind of new music have you got? I just send them South African metal.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. So you mentioned that you guys started around about the same time as the sort of pandemic started. So I was kind of wondering, looking back through the pandemic, how has the sort of the amount of material that you've gotten from South African artists changed since, like, early days where maybe people were more depressed and didn't really want to contribute, to now that they realize that this is the new normal, so make shit work?
Well, look, I personally think there's been a dramatic increase of new music and new artists doing side projects, as well as new artists coming up with new projects and one-man shows kind of thing, I mean, I use a good example like Digital Coma out of Middelburg, where the Bleeding Spawn guys are. And it's a strange alternative electronic rock, but it's only Michael Buertes from Code 106 on his own. you know, and you see a lot of that pop up coming across my emails. And let me tell you, I've got 1,071 emails unread this morning. So there's a lot of music coming in, and I think it's been, a lot of bands have been proactive in the sense of, you know what, we've got the internet to our disposal, and let's use it. So people could collaborate with international artists, local artists, and by means of something as simple as Audacity or Cakewalk, guys found it easier to create their own content for their projects, bands, or whatever the case may be. So there's been a great influx.
Definitely. I mean, if I think of one artist, or even two, I think of Pajama Planet and essentially even Dead Man Risen. Both of those one-man shows, producing, doing their own visuals, their own recordings. I mean, just really taking it into their own hands. I would say my co-host also, to a certain extent, but I don't want to toot his horn too much there.
No, don't do that.
That needs to be mentioned, and he's down there by you guys in Cape Town, is Mr. Rick Shields from Sundergeist, which has brought out a phenomenal album. Then there's this one track, it's Over Jehovah, which is one of my favorite tracks off the album that I play very frequently, and a prime example right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess we did mention this earlier, with the influx of new talent that's kind of been emerging, and myself and Alec kind of behind the lockdown chats have been kind of deliberating on some of the bands that have really caught our ear over this year, and some of the releases that have really stood out. Now, we'll omit the good old Vulvadinia boys because they made SA very proud representing with their new album. But are there any others from your side that really just blew you away, that made you really proud to be South African, you know, a proudly South African feeling?
You know, I would say the two standout albums for me, and it's not exclusively just those two bands, would be number one, album of the year is Mind Assault, right? Cult of Conflict is just a masterpiece. It was well worth the 4-year wait for that album. I was on Patrick's back time and time again, dude, when am I getting this album? When will it be? And it was so worth the wait. And people that's watching this that has not gone out and listened to Cult of Conflict, you have to do it right after this. Okay, I'm sure we can put a link in the description below. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's there. We actually got to make it. We got to make a pop up right here, right now. There we go. Magic.
And then the other one is, man, they blew Ramfest 2020 up last year in Pretoria, and that is Sunken State. Man, what a freaking 4-piece band that is. It is phenomenal. And they dropped their album Solace and Solitude about 3 months ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Apparently they smashed the Johannesburg Death Fest 2 weeks ago. They really brought the heat. I mean, I've been told they are a powerful live show as well, which I guess we should also include Peasant in the conversation, because they've also kicked some ass this year. So
with Kingdom, that came out a few months back, also one EP, 3 tracks if I'm not mistaken, and Crack of the Bell I actually played again on Monday night that passed, and the week before, because after Death Fest, which I obviously attended, then I did a lead up to the Death Fest, and then I did a post Death Fest recap, and then I started building up for this past weekend's the Daisy Jones bar with Vulvadinia, Halvar.
How was that?
Were you there?
Oh,
nice.
yes.
Yeah,
I do represent.
That's definitely another mentionable band from this year that released material was Halvar with Baptized in Blasphemy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Fantastic.
yes. It's actually, I managed to grab myself a copy of their EP. If you guys are interested in grabbing these, please just pop them a DM. They will be glad to hook you up. But yeah, it's got 2 bonus tracks, of which one is a cover of Crystal Mountain by Death. So definitely worth grabbing this. We will hook you up soon so we can get this on the airwaves. But anyway, Anyway,
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me tell you this, Lyle. I've got the masters from that.
damn it. I mean, you know, yeah. The ironic thing is that we actually damn well released this. So kudos to Dolphin and them for doing my job for me. So,
Right? And it's such a fantastic release. Well done, guys.
yeah, quality release also, guys. Definitely check it out.
So obviously we've seen a huge influx of material, and I mean it just keeps getting better and better. The production quality, the bar keeps getting raised. What? Obviously, there's tons of metal subgenres. Off the top of your head, what is like the most music that you're playing on the show? Like, what subgenres of metal are doing the best on your show?
Yeah, what cultivates the most interest?
That's a tricky question, but I can tell you things like, for instance, Sunken State, Mind Assault. A lot of the more orchestral stuff gets a lot of hits. I mean, Reino Taron and his band Truth Decay, they just dropped PTSD, their single from last week that I premiered it, even before Whack and Radio. That got a lot of traction. I had Reino in his solo capacity on Thursday Expose this past week, and that is it's a heavier version of what Reino Taron in his solo capacity would generally do. So, and the question that I asked him, does he feel that the songwriting and the sound of Truth Decay, that thrashy, raw sound, does he feel that it rolls over into Reino Taron, the solo Reino Taron music, really? And there's definitely a yes in there, and you'll be able to see that on Berg Studios website, hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, just bergstudio.co.za, and you can check it out there.
It's actually it's very interesting. Yeah, the bleed over into other projects. I guess that's from an artistic point of view. That's kind of like what grabs your interest. But it wouldn't surprise me if stuff that has a little bit more of a groove metal, dare I say, new metal feel in the terms of like chunky, low, groovy, move your head type of stuff would be the stuff that would go, as opposed to black metal.
Again, I can bring up Sunken State again, because that's another band that just gets so much interaction on the show. And because on Berg Studio, on the player pages, we've got a heart next to the track title. And if you like a song, you smash that. You can do it every 30 seconds. And then it gives us better indication of what the listeners enjoy more. And by means of that, we can give feedback to the bands, and we can also give them a geographical location setting of where the listeners were listening from and enjoyed their music from, you know?
Oh, yeah. Always valuable information.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Always. I guess, well, we've been talking positively about the influx of new talent, and there's so many that where we can't even like mention. We'll drop it down into a little bit of a somber vibe, because I feel like we do have to mention this, and that is our fallen comrades. So some real legendary OG bands in the form of Theatre Runs Red, most recently, and a couple of weeks ago, Devil's Speak as well. Two very strong pillars in the SA community, not necessarily always directly about their music, but just the live performance and the energy that they bring, and just how they spoke up about the SA metal scene. So representing out there in Joburg and stuff, how did this hit you when you heard about it?
Man, it was I want to say I heard it in passing, and it didn't sink in. However, at Deathfest, a couple of the bands mentioned Theatre Runs Red, and you know the what transpired, and only then, when hearing that by fellow musicians on stage at an event like Deathfest, that then it really sunk in. And dude, yeah, it's a strange emotion, if I can call it that. You know, it's yeah, I'm gonna call it a strange emotion that ran through.
It's definitely the one thing I noticed at the Vulvadinia show with Peasant and Hulver was, I mean, obviously Devil Speak, a couple of the reps were there, Derek and a couple of peeps. I think like Azalea was also there. But the one thing that we did speak to Patrick and Jacques at Metal for Africa about how this hit them as one of the last Cape Town events to actually book theatre runs Red. And you could tell they weren't happy, but the one thing that Jacques said, he's like, at least we're going to be getting their their album finally. Out of all of this depression, there is an album that's in the pipeline now for them. So there is some positive. It's just
there's a light.
Yes, there's some form of positivity to go with this. So yeah, can't wait to hear that. So yeah,
super stoked and excited for that.
Me too.
So we're approaching the end of 2021, and it's been another crazy year with very few live performances. But I mean, you went to Death Fest, and you said it was killer, both of you guys.
Yep.
What do you see 2022 bringing for the South African metal scene? Do you think we're going to have smaller gigs again, or do you think it's just going to be limited shows that are complete rages because the audience is so starved?
I think it would be a bit of both, Alec, if you ask me. I don't know who's listening and who shouldn't be hearing what I'm saying right now, but there has been underground events that has been put up in secluded venues or areas where only a select few people, like 400 people on the one camp weekend that we had out in Pretoria North. I want to, because these guys are doing so great for the scene up here, I want to mention who they are, but I'm not sure about who's going to see this. But we are already working on the next one for April after that other, I don't know, big concert is bringing in Mr. that guy.
That guy, yeah.
The Brieber. I'll say it quickly. But yes, we've got something in the pipeline for April already. We are looking at bringing bands up from Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, Durban, and Joburg and Pretoria. So it's a mass weekend festival. We're still spitballing with names, but it'll be camping from the Friday to the Sunday. And that falls in that period of long weekends. So there's that. So that's in the pipeline. However, depending on how and where we sit with different COVID regulations, like the president is speaking tonight, right after we are done here, then the president will be speaking and addressing the nation again, saying, well, this last week, massive influx and so a lot of things contribute to the uncertainty. But Alec, for the smaller gigs, yes, I think that smaller gigs will be more packed for with attendance, and it's just finding the right location of venue, because someone like Fred Otto from Rumors Rock City and Rumors Lounge will not take that risk. It's a massive risk to get shut down and penalized and those kind of things. So if the right location or venue will get sorted, then more smaller ones, but a lot more prominent attendees or patrons.
And those attendees are going to have a lot of quality music to indulge in, because God knows there's been a hell of a lot of talent that's come out this year here. A lot of hungry bands out there.
And I hear of these bands every day. It's like new music every single day of the week. So
it's a good feeling. Music.
Sorry, say that again, bud.
I was going to say it's quite a good feeling, and like kind of reassuring. Even in these dark times, you can get some new talent that you've never heard of from a place you might not have thought would have had any music like that. So it's been quite exciting.
I mean, example of new music coming out. Sorry for interjecting there, Lyle.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of Boiling Point out of Port Elizabeth and Ghast?
Yes.
Yeah. Hardcore.
That absolutely blew my mind, and they came out of nowhere, man. I mean, Gracie on the guitar, and Justin on the drums for Ghast. And dude, Dominique Demon Slayer Low. That dude on the hardcore vocals is just something out of this world, man. It's unheard of in a South African. Oh, wait, hold on. There's also Peasant. So that would be a great combination of the show.
I guess you could throw in Behest also, although they could tether more towards grindcore, maybe. But, it's neither here nor there. They're all friends anyway. They're all working graphic design. So,
fantastic, man.
While we've been talking about all these bands, obviously, we go in with a lot of optimism and hope for the future. We've been treated to a lot of new music. So, I mean, you as one of the mediators and actually exposing all of this new talent, like on a weekly basis, is there any advice that you actually could give to any of the bands? Any tips on how to reach out to you? Best way to send a promo for a new single? All of that stuff.
Sure, absolutely, man. And thank you for the question. It's as easy as dropping me a mail with your if you don't have an EPK, right, then send me your bio of your band. It doesn't have to be a 5-pager thing, because you get lost in the noise, and a lot of times you miss details because it's such a big paragraph. So send me a short bio, or if you've got an EPK, then send it to ftp@bergstudio.co.za. The alternative to that is station@bergstudio.co.za. And then that will come to myself or one of the other people in management. And we, according to the shows, we can direct it to the relevant show on the day or the night. Say, for instance, like I don't do Wednesday night shows, but you sent me your track last week, Thursday. I couldn't play it then. I would love to play it on Wednesday coming. And then we redirect that to one of our fellow presenters. So it's as easy as that. We do. I don't do interviews. I do hangouts. I think interviews are stiff and stuck up. Like podcasting, like we're doing right now. There's no set structure of questions. We're just hanging out, So with that, even I have been so booked. I try my best every week to do one South African band and one international band on Thursday exposés. And for the last couple of weeks, it's just been South African music, like Hard Rockers, Fear of Falling, going on to Reno to Ron's new stuff, Truth Decay the week before that. So yeah, it's we if you get it over to us, like I said, ftp@bergstudio.co.za, then if I see it's a local band, then, and I hope my international listeners aren't taking offense to this, but I do put priority on the South African music.
And you got to push the proudly South African material, right?
Absolutely, man. There's not very many of us that does it. I mean, if I can play, I could probably play 5, maybe 6 shows, 3-hour shows, not 2-hour shows, maybe 3-hour shows, maybe 5-6 days of just South African metal, right? And that's the abundance thereof. So I try my best to circulate between not just local but international, but preferencing the local guys.
Because local is lekker.
Someone said that the other night on one of my shows, and yeah, but yes, local is lekker. There, you heard it from me. I won't say it again loud.
So I guess almost this is just a sort of off the cuff segue. What I've seen on social media recently is a lot of people either sharing their Spotify Wrapped, end of the year, this is how well my band's done, or shared memes about like being so anti Spotify.
Yes, I'm one of those people.
You're one of those people. So I'd love to hear what your sort of your views. Just go for it.
Right. So Spotify is a great platform for one person to make a whole lot of money. And I'm not even going to mention him because I'm not with him. They are extorting musicians that put in hard-earned money and time and effort into music. Now, to give you a brief idea, I asked, I think it was actually Fear of Falling a a couple of weeks back. I asked them how much money have they made, and then it came out on 10,000 streams. It was like 50 cents, South African or dollar cents, right? 50 of 10,000 streams. Now, coming down to the rap thing, sorry, I'll go back to that in a moment. Coming back to the rap thing, you see the amount of streams that you got, then you see the amount of people that listen to it, right? If you got 10,000 streams and 8,000 people listening to it, right? It gives you a good indication of who likes your stuff or not, right? If you had 10,000 streams and only 900 of those streams, or 900 of those 10,000 streams were listeners, that gives you, so there is a plus side to it. It gives you a brief indication of where you're reaching and those kind of things. But when it comes to the monetization of your band, which essentially becomes your brand, then Spotify is absolutely, and excuse it, bleep it, but Spotify is raping the bands. You know, and I get that people are yeah, people's gonna hear my stuff and music and the new single. Sure, they'll listen, they'll put on Spotify radio and it'll cycle through. You're not going to give much attention to that Spotify station that you're listening to because it's just music. It goes there. Whereas, and I'm not trying to, well, I am trying to promote traditional radio, but when we've got interaction with the listener, then I can see in life, it's been proven in the past, people go out. It's like, shit, I've listened to this song, I heard it on so and so, I got it there, and it is that physical interaction between listener and presenter then becomes something more positive than just a background radio sitting there. So that's the other issue that I have with Spotify. But when it comes to a monetary value for your hardware earned work that went into your music, then yeah, I cannot support it. I prefer Bandcamp or the band's website or their representative's website. I buy stuff from Bandcamp. I bought another album the other day from a band called Aluzed, something like that. But they're out of Singapore, and it's this strange, obscure music. And I went to Bandcamp because I discovered them on Bandcamp, not Spotify. Yeah. They're not going to get their $9 that I paid for the album from Spotify within 150,000 listens or streams. Then they'll get their $9 back. So yeah, so I'm very anti-monetary. Let me put it this way: monetary value for bands. Spotify is a no-no for me.
Cool. Yep. Nail on the head. Exposure is great, but at what point does it end up conflicting with expenditure? Because again, I think a lot of people tend to forget a lot of these bands, if they're going into the studio, they are spending tens of thousands of rands on a recording. And it is not easy to recoup that money.
Like, no, it's not.
Especially, yeah.
See, unfortunately, in my opinion, my personal opinion, I feel that the band's money, considering no one buys CDs anymore. I still do. When I see a CD in a cash converters or online or whatever, I'll buy them. Yes, I've got a whole CD rack there, and they go on tour with me when I'm on my work vehicle because it doesn't have a USB stick. So, where the money, in my opinion, you guys would know this too, I'm sure, is with merchandise and touring. Currently, touring is very challenging because we can't say like other countries around the world, okay, well, we plan to tour in a year and ahead or 9 months ahead. They can do it. They don't have the restrictions that we've got. So touring is a bit of a dodgy one, but merchandise and selling your online music, your Bandcamp, your website, etc. So again, Spotify sucks.
Awesome. I think that's almost a great place to wrap it up on. But do you have any final plugs for your listeners, and what can we expect from France the Planet in 2022?
Right, so big plugs always to Diva Graphic, artist management down in Cape Town, to Plug Music Agency. Warren Gibson is a champion of a dude down in, also on the coast somewhere. Bushman's
the mongrel himself.
Records, yes, mongrel. Yes, I'm not going to say it. To my fellow presenters of Berg Studio, for big shout out to the peoples who actually tune in and dedicate their 2 hours, 3 times, 4 times a week to listening to my shows, but not just my shows, but also the music that I play them. And yeah, so big shout out to them. If it wasn't for the listeners, then why the hell am I doing this kind of thing, you know? Plugs, what other plugs, man? All the kick-ass bands that's been sending me jingles or sound bites to play on the shows, the venues that stuck it out, that really had faith in us as a metal community, to bring it back, even under certain circumstances where we weren't really allowed. But it's thanks to you that we keep the scene going, and yeah, create more music and content for people to enjoy, not just in South Africa, but all around the world. Because obviously Berg Studio is, and various other online stations promote themselves as international. But we're still proudly South African, man. Even though we've got 2 American presenters also on, one is in Florida and the other one is in, well, also Florida, Dayton Beach, yeah. Big shout out to Wes Ramsey, Chuck, and yeah, the rest of the guys, Guppy, the Prof, Remir. We've got a financial show on Berg Studio for the last, I don't know, 6 months already. Every Thursday morning, you can listen to Loden's Uber. Also, he was with the previous commercial radio. And yeah, so that's my plugging. I think if I missed anyone, I do apologize. Send me a DM after the president has spoken tonight, and we'll take it from there. Then, for 2022, Friends of Planet, the brand, has got some big things coming up with From the Live Room. It's a segment that I'm going to start doing with once a month, every Thursday, or one Thursday a month, where I'll bring a band into studio, and then we will do From the Live Room, very similar to also YouTube channels Audio Tree and KEXP. I don't know if you guys know that. So very similar to that. A nice live room studio. Bands come in, we have a hangout, and rather than me just playing their wave or their master or their MP3, then they play it live in studio. That obviously gets recorded. It gets recorded not just audio, but also videography gets done, professional by professional videographers. And yeah, that'll go onto all the platforms that people wanted, especially Berg Studio. And yeah, so that's in the pipeline. COVID has wrecked my TV show, which is Cooking with Friends, where I bring a band into my home and we cook together, we do a live show, and we eat together, and it's great fun. I've done a few with them, with the Hydroponics. State Dependency was my last one, I think, second last one. You can catch that on my YouTube channel at Friends of Planet. And yeah, so we cook together, we eat together, and we've kind of sort of locked in a venue, which is at a recording studio, actually, funny enough. They've got an outside stage, inside live room, and a big cooking facility where we will do Cooking with Friends from there, if all goes as planned. And we can get people to come have a listen, join us on the premises. They can see us cook, they can buy their food, or you can do a ticket for a whole day where you can watch 4 different bands, eat 4 different meals, and after each meal, they'll play a set on the outside stage. And yeah, so, but unfortunately COVID happened, and food and bunch of people, you know, the challenges.
100%.
So, well, I think
that sounds awesome.
So then, yeah. And then just again, I'm just gonna go on the Berg Studio thing. Big things coming in Berg Studio. Anything from band merchandise to a proper e-commerce store, and a variety of different things. So keep a lookout for that from around about the 10th of January 2022.
Awesome.
Oh yeah. Wow, you really have so much on the go, man. It's actually, it's so commendable. And again, thank you for waving the SA flag. It really helps everybody. I think I speak on behalf of everybody in the SA metal scene, saying you keep on rocking and we will keep on listening. So, Mr. The Planet, thank you again for joining us. We will hopefully have you back in the near future. But yeah, just keep on doing your thing and we will keep on supporting. So yeah, thank you once again for joining us, man.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much. And Lyle, you and Alec, again, thank you so much for the opportunity to having me on the show tonight. And yeah, good luck and all the best with MMD Records and pushing out phenomenal bands. You got my email address. Keep on sending the music and I'll keep on playing it.
Yeah, lots of new stuff coming. But we will leave that those little tidbits for next year. Otherwise, we won't have enough clickbait for January. So,
Oh, baby.
Alec, what do you say? Are we done for another week?
We're done. 100%.
For 2022.
Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming like a tsunami, like a fourth wave, if you will. Bahaha. Anyway, anyway, guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. Oh yes, the slay. Yeah, dragging entrails. It's just a nice little follow-up from that. So yeah,
Love it.
hopefully nothing, no doom and gloom for the future with this. But yeah, thank you again to everybody that tuned in. We will be back same time, same place on the interweb next week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That helps. And yeah, keep that social distancing going. You guys know the drill by now. Hopefully this pandemic hoo-ha will be over soon enough. Also, guys, have a wicked week ahead. Later.
Peace.